No one expected it. Not the fans, not the critics, and definitely not the people who followed The Chosen since the very beginning. When this scene dropped in Season 6, it didn't just leave viewers silent, it shook them to the core. It wasn't about special effects or surprise cameos, it was about truth. A truth that cut deeper than any sword, a truth that made even the strongest hearts tremble. In that moment, everything changed. The tone, the faith, the trust, shattered in one heartbeat. And if you thought you knew where The Chosen was heading, think again, because this was the moment that redefined everything. The episode opens slowly, like the calm before thunder. The camera moves through a dusty road at dawn, soft light spilling across tired faces. The disciples are walking together, but something feels off. Their steps are heavy, their eyes searching for meaning that seems lost in the wind. There's tension in the silence, the kind that speaks louder than words. Jesus walks ahead, not saying much. His expression is calm, but unreadable. You can feel the weight of everything that's about to happen resting on his shoulders. Peter glances at him, confused but loyal. Thomas whispers something about fear, and Mary looks down, her hands trembling as if she senses that a storm is coming. The music builds. Slowly, a haunting note that carries both peace and pain. Every frame feels like it's hiding a secret. The director lets the moment breathe. No rush, no distractions. Just the raw, quiet pull of destiny approaching. Then it happens. A messenger runs toward them from the distance, shouting, desperate, almost broken. The disciples turn, their faces lit by panic. The messenger's voice cracks as he delivers the news that changes everything. You can see the disbelief, the denial, the heartbreak spreading like wildfire among them. One word from the messenger, one truth, and suddenly the world feels colder. The camera doesn't cut away. It stays close, forcing us to feel every tear, every gasp. You can almost hear hearts breaking in the silence that follows. And as the messenger's words echo, you realize this isn't just another turning point in the story. This is the moment where faith itself is tested. The light dims. The wind picks up. And even though no one says it out loud, you know it. This is the beginning of the end. Before we dive deeper into that heart-stopping scene, let's take a step back, not to explain The Chosen like a summary, but to feel where we've come from. Because to understand the power of that moment, you have to understand the journey for years. The Chosen has told the story of Jesus and his followers, not through grand miracles alone, but through the raw, fragile hearts of the people who walked beside him. It's not a tale of perfect faith. It's a story of doubt, fear, love, and the search for truth in a world that keeps breaking. By the time we reach Season 6, the air already feels heavy. Every character carries scars, both seen and unseen. Peter, once so bold, now fights a quiet battle between belief and exhaustion. Mary carries the weight of guilt and grace in equal measure. Thomas wrestles with the need for proof, and Jesus, he carries them all. Not just their pain, but the pain of knowing what must come next. The tone of the show has shifted. Gone are the days of wonder-filled beginnings, the miracles that made crowds gasp, the laughter by the firelight. Season 6 doesn't shine with the warmth of discovery. It aches with the cost of devotion. The world around them grows darker, and the line between faith and fear begins to blur. What makes The Chosen so powerful is not its retelling of ancient events, but how human it all feels. These aren't distant figures carved in stone, they are us. People who love deeply, fail often, and keep trying anyway. Every word, every hesitation, a quiet look from Jesus that lasts too long. A half-finished prayer, a moment of silence between friends who suddenly feel miles apart. The audience doesn't realize it yet, but the story has already begun to change. The characters don't just walk into a moment, they grow into it, step by step, heartbreak by heartbreak. That's what makes the upcoming twist hit so hard. It's not a surprise born from shock value. It's the natural result of choices, of love, of destiny slowly closing in. This is what The Chosen does best. It turns scripture into emotion, turning every verse into a heartbeat. And as we stand on the edge of that coming storm, one truth becomes clear: the closer they get to the light, the darker the shadows become. It begins quietly, almost too quietly. The kind of silence that makes you lean forward, knowing something's wrong, but not yet knowing what. The disciples are gathered by a fire as the evening sun fades behind the hills, casting long shadows that stretch across the ground like ghosts of what's coming. No one speaks at first. You can hear the crackle of burning wood, the faint sound of wind brushing against their worn robes, and in that stillness, something feels. Heavy. Jesus sits apart, eyes fixed on the horizon. His expression is calm, but it's not peace, it's acceptance. The kind that breaks your heart because it knows what's inevitable. The others sense it too, even if they don't understand it. Peter keeps glancing over as if searching for a sign that everything's fine, but all he finds is silence. Mary fidgets with her hands, whispering a prayer under her breath. Thomas tries to make light conversation, but his voice trembles halfway through a sentence. The air feels tight, like it's holding its breath. A child's laughter echoes faintly from somewhere beyond the trees, and for a moment it feels like time slows down. That sound, innocent and fleeting, feels like a cruel reminder of what they're about to lose. The fire flickers, and the light catches on their faces, painting them in gold and grief. Then, Jesus finally speaks. Just a few words, gentle, weighted, unforgettable. He talks about what's to come, not with fear, but with a softness that makes it hurt even more. His words hang in the air like a prophecy no one wants to hear. The camera lingers on each disciple's face: disbelief, confusion, heartbreak, and in that silence between the lines, you can feel the dread building. The director does something brilliant here. No music, no dialogue, just the sound of the fire dying down. It's cinematic poetry. Every ember feels like a countdown. You don't need thunder to sense the storm. You just know, and then that look. Jesus turns to Peter. Their eyes meet for a split second, and it's like the whole story is told in that glance. A promise, a warning, a goodbye. This is how the chosen traps you, not with sudden shocks, but with quiet human moments that grow heavier with each passing frame. You realize that the most painful part isn't what's coming. It's that they still believe they can stop it. The night deepens, and the disciples drift into uneasy silence. The fire burns lower. Somewhere in the darkness, footsteps echo, distant, deliberate, approaching. And though no one sees who they belong to yet, the audience knows the storm has finally arrived. It happens so fast, and yet it feels like time stops. The camera closes in on Jesus, his eyes calm, but filled with something deeper, something unspoken. Around him, the disciples are caught between confusion and fear. The night air grows still, the fire barely breathing. Then, from the darkness, a figure steps forward. At first, you only see the outline, familiar, trembling, human. It's Judas. The moment he appears, the silence becomes deafening. No dramatic music, no shouting, just the sound of footsteps crushing dry earth. His face is pale, his eyes lost somewhere between guilt and purpose. Every step he takes toward Jesus feels like betrayal carved into stone. The camera doesn't rush it, it lets you feel the weight of every second. The other disciples freeze, unsure whether to move or pray. Peter takes half a step forward, his hand trembling near his side. Mary covers her mouth, whispering something desperate. Thomas shakes his head, as if denying what's already happening. Then Judas stops in front of Jesus. The light from the dying fire catches his face, revealing tears he can't hide anymore. There's no hate in him, only heartbreak. You can see he's fighting himself. He's torn between the love that built him and the choice that will destroy him. He says nothing. Neither does Jesus. They just look at each other, two souls caught in the center of prophecy. The moment feels longer than it should, suspended in eternity. Then, softly, almost lovingly, Judas steps closer and kisses him on the cheek. That's when everything breaks. The soldiers emerge from the shadows, torches lighting up the night like judgment itself. The disciples cry out, panic rising like wildfire. Peter rushes forward, shouting, "No!" but it's too late. The betrayal is complete. Jesus doesn't resist. His calmness cuts through the chaos. His voice is soft, almost sorrowful. Do what you came for, friend. The word friend hangs in the air like a blade. It's not anger, it's forgiveness. And somehow, that makes it even more painful. The camera zooms in, the torches, the dust, the faces of men who came to take him away. In that chaos, Judas looks at his own hands, as if realizing what they've done. His lips tremble. His eyes fill with something deeper than tears, regret so pure it burns, as Jesus is taken. The music finally returns, low, sorrowful, almost holy. The disciples' voices fade into echoes. The torches vanish into the darkness. And for the first time in The Chosen, it feels like the light itself has turned away. The screen holds on Judas's face one last time, broken, shaking, staring into the night. The man who followed the light has become its shadow. This scene isn't just betrayal. It's a mirror, one that forces every viewer to look inward and ask, what would I have done? That's the brilliance of The Chosen. It doesn't show good versus evil in black and white. It shows the shades of gray inside every heart. And in this single moment, we see how love, faith, guilt, and destiny can all collide in one breath. When Judas kisses Jesus, it's not just a signal to the soldiers, it's a symbol of how love can be twisted when fear takes control. It's the kiss of friendship, poisoned by confusion. The act that looks gentle but carries the weight of history. And The Chosen captures it, not as a political betrayal, but as a human tragedy, a man torn apart by his own choices. The camera work is intentional, every flicker of light. Every shadow creeping along the ground carries meaning. Notice how Jesus remains illuminated even as the torches close in. The light doesn't fight the darkness, it accepts it. It's a visual metaphor for sacrifice. He isn't defeated. He's fulfilling what was always meant to be. The light doesn't vanish, it surrenders to save. And then Judas, his face tells the story of all humanity. Regret, confusion, and heartbreak mix in his eyes. In that single expression, you see the struggle of a man who wanted to do right but chose wrong in the name of it. He's not shown as a villain. He's shown as a human being who made the worst mistake possible while trying to serve the best cause. Even the fire has meaning here. Remember how it was burning earlier, bright and warm? Now, it's fading, a dying glow that mirrors their fading hope. Fire, throughout The Chosen, has symbolized truth and spirit. Watching it dim is like watching their certainty crumble. It's storytelling through silence, not words. The line, "Do what you came for, friend," is another masterstroke. Jesus calls him friend, not to mock him, but to remind him of what love truly is. It's the ultimate act of mercy in a moment of betrayal. It's forgiveness spoken in the face of pain. And it breaks the viewer because it's something we all long to give, but rarely can. The scene's power doesn't come from violence or spectacle. It comes from restraint. It teaches that sometimes the loudest moments in life are the ones said in whispers. The tension between light and shadow, loyalty and doubt. Truth and fear, it's all woven together in a single act that defines everything that follows. This is not just about Judas and Jesus. It's about us. About every time we've chosen comfort over courage, silence over truth, or fear over love. That's what makes The Chosen more than a show. It's a reflection of humanity's constant struggle between what is right and what is easy. And as the scene fades, you're left with one haunting truth. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting yourself be betrayed, so others can find redemption. When the episode dropped, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. Within hours, clips of that final scene spread everywhere. Hashtags trended, reaction videos flooded YouTube, and fan pages filled with emotional comments that read more like confessions than reviews. People weren't just watching The Chosen anymore, they were feeling it, living it, wrestling with it. One viewer wrote, "I had to pause the episode because I couldn't breathe." Another said, "I thought I was ready for this moment, but seeing Judas cry broke me in a way I didn't expect." And over again, The same sentiment echoed across thousands of posts. This wasn't acting. This was real. What makes this reaction so powerful isn't just the shock of the betrayal, it's the way the show made everyone understand it. Fans didn't just hate Judas, they pitied him. They saw his confusion, his love twisted by fear, and for a moment they forgave him. That's something few shows can do. Make the audience empathize with the one who breaks the heart of the story. Across TikTok, you can find people crying quietly as they watch the scene on repeat. On Instagram, artists began sketching Judas' trembling hands or Jesus' calm gaze. Writers shared essays about how that single kiss made them rethink their own ideas of forgiveness. Churches started discussions using the episode as a reference for sermons. It became more than entertainment, it became conversation. And what's even more striking is how many viewers said it brought them closer to their faith. Some admitted they hadn't prayed in years, but this moment, this heartbreak stirred something alive again. Others said it reminded them that grace doesn't come from perfection, but from broken people trying to love in an imperfect world. The Chosen's creators didn't just tell a story. They built a mirror that reflected humanity's most fragile truth, that every one of us carries both Judas and Jesus inside us. The one who doubts and the one who forgives. Fans across the world felt that duality, and for days after, it was all anyone could talk about, even those who don't consider themselves. Religious admitted that the scene transcended belief. It was art. It was storytelling at its rawest. It didn't ask viewers to agree, it asked them to feel. And that's why it hit so hard. Because whether you're watching from faith or curiosity, that moment of betrayal and love forces you to confront something universal. The pain of letting go. In the beauty of forgiving what you can't forget, and in that shared silence across millions of screens and hearts, something rare happened. The world stood still for a story that's 2,000 years old, and yet somehow brand new again. When the screen faded to black, fans sat frozen, not because the story ended, but because they knew it didn't. This isn't closure. This is the breaking point before everything changes. And The Chosen has never been afraid of change. Season 6 left us in the ashes of betrayal. Season 7 promises to rise from it. Heavier, deeper. It's more human than ever before. That final look from Jesus, calm even as he's taken away, isn't an ending. It's a beginning. The beginning of the sacrifice that the entire story has been moving towards since the first episode. You can almost feel the threads tightening. Peter's rage, Mary's grief, Judas' guilt. Each emotion is a storm of its own, waiting to crash into what's coming next. What happens after this will not just test faith, it will redefine it. The Chosen has always blurred the line between faith and fear. But now, the disciples will be forced to live without the one who gave them purpose. The question isn't what will they do, it's who will they become. Will Peter's fire turn to fury? Will Mary hold the group together when their world falls apart? Will Judas' choice haunt the story from beyond the shadows? The show's creators have hinted that Season 7 will explore the aftermath of loss, not just death, but the death of certainty. It's about what happens when everything you believe in is suddenly taken away. And in true The Chosen fashion, it won't rely on spectacle. It'll rely on emotion, on the quiet, painful moments of people trying to rebuild faith out of brokenness. Fans are already spinning theories. Some believe we'll see Judas's torment before his final act, while others expect an entirely new perspective on redemption itself. Could The Chosen dare to show his final moments, not as condemnation, but as sorrow? If any show would, it's this one. Because this story doesn't aim to punish, it aims to understand. And what about the others? The disciples' grief, the chaos in Jerusalem, the world collapsing under prophecy, all of it leads to one thing, the resurrection. But here's the genius. We know what's coming, yet The Chosen makes us wait for it, ache for it, feel every second of loss until hope finally returns. That's not storytelling. That's resurrection through emotion. So as the credits rolled, one thought echoed in every viewer's heart. If this was the pain before the dawn, and Season 7 might just be the most powerful chapter yet. Because every broken faith has a chance to rise again. Every tear shed in darkness prepares the heart to see the light. And maybe that's the point of it all, not to escape the pain, but to understand it. Because sometimes, before redemption can find us, we must first walk through the night.